Hello, hello.
Hi, it's Opie in New York, blizzardy New York.
And Tolly in snowy, blizzardy Seattle. We just couldn't get away from the snow today. Hi, everyone. I see everyone coming
Opie in New
on.
York, blizzardy New York.
Okay, oops, let me get all of our, get all of
Technology stuff in order.
There we go. Muting the technology. Hey, Lucy and Tanya.
Get all of our technology stuff in order.
Susan from New York from Detroit. Oh, cool. Us too. That's where we're from. Yes, Rain, you can ask love-related questions, but hold on to those. So what we're going to do is we've prepared a little information for you guys about the general trends of the year ahead. And we're going to go through all of those and each of the 12 signs. And then at the end, we're going to give you guys a chance to just jump in and ask questions. Oh, Black Kate Moss is back. Hey, great to see you again. And Kristen Booker, Melanie Miller. Awesome, everyone. Hi, Emma. And so cool. All around the world. I love it. Okay, so let me fire up the beautiful slides that Ophi made for us today, and we will get that rolling along and walk you through. Ophi, is there anything you want to say before we do that? Before I start that up?
Just saying hi to everyone. I'm in New York. These little dogs behind us are little love hounds here in the New York City HQ, and just so glad you guys are here. It's an intense week in the stars this Valentine's Day, as you may have noticed already. So, we're on Google Hangouts. So while we're showing you the slides, we won't flip back and forth. So you'll hear both of us talking then.
You'll probably see us down at the bottom of the screen too, popping in and out and looking at, putting on lip gloss and, making ourselves look fancier for you. I dashed here. So it's been, anyone who's in Seattle or in the Pacific Northwest knows we've had some totally out of the ordinary, insane snow, and then it started raining, and now it's freezing. So I didn't know if I was going to make it into my office today, but I've been cooped up at home for the last week, and as a Sagittarius, I've hit my threshold. So I was like, I am going in today, but my attempts to beat time were a little bit sketchy there. So anyways, let's get into love and talk about that, because that's what's on all of our minds this week. And we're leading up to Valentine's Day on Thursday. Whether you celebrate it or go for the anti-Valentine's, eye rules for the Hallmark holiday. There's no escaping that love is in the air right now. So let's get this on here. I'm going to share this. And let's see. There we go. Ophi made us some beautiful slides today. So let's see if I can get it centered there on her first one. All right. Go ahead, Ophi. Guide us through love, the big picture.
Okay. So the bigger trends this year in love. So we've got this interesting contrasting energy, as many of you guys. So how many of you guys have our 2019 horoscope guide and are reading that already? Or read your 2019 yearly forecast on our site? Because, wait, is it showing the slide?
It is. I have to just I'm going to go into my operator mode and hide you and me.
Yeah, hide us.
Okay.
Technology fun.
Oops, is that working now? Now I got to get the screen share back up. Okay, everyone. Thanks for bearing with us on this.
Well, while we do that, I just don't want anyone to get, dizzy from seeing me go on and off camera. But thank you. I see some people are saying yes, they got the whole book. And we do have a special offer on it today for those who don't. But so you probably read that there's a lot of planets in Capricorn and one in Taurus this year, a lot of earth energy. But we also have Jupiter, which is about luck and enthusiasm and excitement, in its home sign of Sagittarius, which is very adventurous and fun and exciting. And so there's like a double shot of this desire for new, but it's offset by all this very earthy energy. So is anyone feeling like almost like there's two people living in your head when it comes to everything from work to love to socializing? Like one part of you is like, yes, let's book a standby flight to Dubai tonight. And then another part of you is like, yeah, I think I'm going to stay home and work. So that is the influence, the contrasting influence of Jupiter and Sagittarius, and also until March 6th, Uranus and Aries. We've got these fire influences, like more, bigger, faster now. And then we've got the earth influence. So to tap into the fire influences of Jupiter and Uranus right now in your love life, we want you to exit your comfort zone and open up to someone of a different type if you're single. If you're in a couple or a new relationship, traveling and learning together, Jupiter rules higher education and loves all, anything that expands your horizons and, helps you see the world differently. Doing that as a couple could be really inspiring. I remember I grabbed the cooking class guide at Sur La Table when I was there. Like, maybe me and my Taurus husband should take a cooking class together. It hasn't happened yet, though, because, of course, Jupiter is also not so great at follow through, and neither is Sagittarius. So you got to just, like, when you're feeling it, just sign up for stuff, too.
Yeah.
Like, book now, because it's also going to be a thing where there's a lot of good ideas that could move the needle on a relationship, like make a difference. And then, if you don't do them, that moment could pass. My husband and I, we live on a pond we're not in New York City. We live outside of the city with our 8-year-old daughter, Sibel. And we live on a pond that freezes. And he's from Holland, so he grew up ice skating, and I grew up ice skating in Michigan. So we got ourselves skates, and we've been really no excuses. We just jump on the ice whenever the day is right, and we just skate. And I bring this Bluetooth speaker out, and we turn it into this like 1980s style ice rink. So I'm sharing that because that's an example of something that you can do, like spontaneous in the moment, go for it, that like makes you feel excited, gets the novelty and the adrenaline and the dopamine flowing, and brings in that rush of feeling like you're newly in love again. And if you're single, going and doing adventurous things like that can really get things pumping too. So that's the first part. Tal, you want to move up to the other slide?
Sure thing.
Which is like, and that was the gas. Now for the brake. It's like you got one foot on the gas, one on the brake.
It really is that kind of a year there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wish I could just make the little tip of the next slide hide, but we're getting a little preview of that. So
I think if you put it in preview instead of
I do. I have.
Oh, okay. Or maybe.
Oh well. What are you gonna do? There we go. Let's see here.
That's an example of like this Jupiter and Earth fire year for us so far. We're doing all these new things, but we're finding like, oh my God! All of a sudden, we're running at 50 miles an hour, and we have all these pieces to put in place. So that's kind of just, it's like, do you just say screw it and do it, or do you, and that's what I think that is kind of the year. Sometimes you're just going to want to say like, all right, I don't know about this person, but I'm just going to go on the date, or I don't know how we're going to work this out, but I'm just going to show up and make it happen. Like, I did not get to finish putting my makeup on today. I have no mascara on. And I just said, you know what? Screw it. It's more important that I'm with these amazing people. Give them this information. They don't even care. Who cares? So embracing that. And number 2, thinking long-term too. So what do you want for the long haul in your love life? Even though you're having this fun and you're being carpe diem in the moment, there's all this earth energy. We've got Saturn in its home sign of Capricorn. So 2 planets in their native soil. It's like a double vibration. Saturn is very structured. Where is this going? This is fun now, but where is it going to be in 10 years or whatever? And so it's good that, concurrently to really tap into the earth energy. Saturn, Pluto, 3 eclipses in Capricorn. And at the end of the year, starting December 2nd, Jupiter too. Like, talk about a lot of energy in the sign of planning, long-term commitment. And then being clear about what you ultimately want and not apologizing. on March 6th, Uranus, which is this very authentic, in your face, changeable planet, is going to start an 8-year visit to Taurus. And it's in what's called its fall in Taurus, meaning it's its least comfortable, because Taurus loves stability, Uranus loves change. So it's going to be a little bit of an uncomfortable energy at times, a negotiation between spontaneity and security. So once again, that's emphasized, but what do I want? How can I just say it? Unapologetically, just say it, and that kind of thing. But set a few love goals, but know that they're subject to change. And this slide says the 10-10-10 principle.
And why don't you explain that? What is that?
Yeah, so I decided to be spontaneous and throw that on the slide and explain. So Susie Welch, who's an author and business expert, talks about the 10-10-10 principle for making any important decision. And so you think about, how will this affect me in, I think it's 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years. I think I wrote 10 weeks, but it might have been 10 minutes. I can never remember. 10 days, minutes, whatever. I'll find out and confirm. But either way, if you're like, okay, I think I want to go on a date with someone that I'm not really sure about, how will I feel about this in 10 days? And, if I go out 10 months, 10 years. So it's an interesting thing to try. I've given my clients that assignment when they've been at a crossroads before, and they're like, that's really helpful, actually. So maybe the date example.
10 days, 10 months, and 10 years. I looked
10 days. Okay.
So I'm sorry. It's 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years.
10 minutes. Okay. Sorry. I was like, I got to get this down on the slide. But okay, 10 minutes.
10 months and 10. Well, 10 is the magic number.
Let's say you find you've been in a relationship for a long time and you're thinking about getting engaged or something to someone, but you aren't sure about it or if it's the right time. Or you're thinking about moving in together, or you're thinking about, in 10 minutes after someone proposes to you or suggests you move in together, you might be all like, woohoo, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm getting some bling, or, oh my God, this is the start of something big. But in 10 months, how might you feel about that? And that's where you think, oh, well, you know what? One of us doesn't really have our income in place. So shit, we better, in 10 months, we're going to, need to start.
In 10 months, sitting around and playing video games and smoking weed isn't going to really be so exciting.
And in 10 years, if this person that I adore and cherish hasn't fully figured out what they want to do with their life, how is that going to make me feel then? So, it's like, that is really, yeah, you get it. I think
a lot of people are saying on the comments here that they can relate to that. And Lana's saying she's in this dual love energy, taking a break from my 7-year boyfriend to be single for the first time, but we also want to stay together long term. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly it. And John is saying that, had a really totally deceived and went back 10 years. So you might want to start with 10 minutes and 10 weeks to get yourself back in the game. So you're a Capricorn and he was a Scorpio. That could be a really good combo. But when a Scorpio decides to deceive, there ain't nothing like it. There's a lot of amazing Scorpios out there. They can be the best, most loyal and devoted partners. But as any sign, every sign has its shadow side. But when the Scorpio stings, the secretive Scorpio who isn't evolved into their eagle self, their phoenix self, is going to be maybe a tough one. The question is to ask yourself, what did I learn from this? We have to be in our, we have to ask ourselves, what weren't we willing to see? And that's where Jupiter and Sagittarius really comes in handy this year. It's like, Jupiter's and Sagittarius, they have this double vibration of truth seeking. Sometimes, love is blind. We see what we want to see. We project what we want. And especially as a Capricorn, very future oriented person and sign. So you already have the 10-year plan dialed in, and you're going to see if this person can fit into that for you. And sometimes, and we all, no matter what your sign, may have done that before. where you're thinking so long term and you're almost like interviewing for a life partner, which is great, if that's what you want. But like, instead of interviewing them and really asking those tough questions and being willing to see things, sometimes we just try to make it work at all costs. And that's something you don't
And there's
want
a good thing that Arain is saying, or what if he is just not that much into me? Well, if you hold your heart up for someone who's not into you, 10 minutes from now, maybe, that's okay. But 10 months and 10 years, where will you be? So, this is the sobering side of all this Capricorn. Capricorn can be harsh energy because it strips away all the frills and makes us look at like, oh, damn, that's really real. That's what's happening. And where will you be? And I put this out to everyone. Where will you be in 10 months or 10 years if you keep holding your heart up for someone who's not that into you or not available for the kind of relationship you're hoping of having? John Gray, the Mars and Venus author expert, whose new and updated work I really love because he gets into hormones and brain science in it. I recommend checking it out. But he talks about living in the promise when you kind of take yourself subconsciously off the market by being with a person who gives you just enough of a hit of that hope and attention to keep you convincing yourself not to take the risk of really going out there and saying, oh, there's nobody here for me, or, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll never find anyone. A bird in the hand is better. So think that through and really maybe consider taking some actions. We'll talk about
yeah. And I want to say one more thing about this is like, everybody, don't be so hard on yourself. One of the things about Saturn and Capricorn, which it's been in, so Saturn has been in its home sign of Capricorn since December 19th of 2017. So it's been over a year now, and it's there primarily. There's a little break in 2020, but all the way until December 17th, 2020. One of the things we also have to know about love is that it's a learning process, and you have to let yourself make mistakes. You will never learn and find the one if you don't make mistakes. And, John, I know, being a Capricorn, you have great intuition, but you're probably really hard on yourself and expect a lot of yourself and are a perfectionist. And so are many of us out there. But the thing to do is to, say, what did I learn from this? How can I, with Saturn and Capricorn, we can set great metrics, and, it's like, okay, that didn't work. If we can kind of, once we get past our hurt, if we can pull back a little from the emotions and also make sure we're not beating ourselves up. I mean, I got married when I was 37. I thought I was never going to find the one after trying, and I was, as a hopeful Sagittarius, we try to plug everybody into that soulmate role, no matter what, it's just, John saying he trusts too much. I trusted too much too. That's better than being a cynical jerk, I think. But at some point I was just like, you know what? Maybe I'll be like this elusive, like Parisian woman who loves being single and, spends her whole life having salons in her living room. I don't even know if this woman exists. This is just some made up stuff, the glamorizing side of the Parisian lifestyle that we get here in the US. But maybe she does exist. In my mind, I was going to be her. And I was like, I went on a vacation to Burning Man, ready to just be that single and loving it woman. And then there was my husband, and we just basically fell in love in 3 days and decided we were going to spend our lives together. So don't give up, everyone. And I'm just telling you guys that. People are asking, can a Libra and Cancer work? Can these two signs, any two signs can work together? They really can. But we have to just remember that the point of love is also to learn about ourselves. And if you get too hung up on making it work, then you might miss the lesson or get stuck with the wrong person. So also knowing when it's time to break up, when it's time to get away, that's really, these people, all these guys that I used to be like, why didn't it work out? And not now that I'm with the right person for me. And I think there's more than one right person for all of us. But now that I am, it's like, oh, thank God I'm not with him. So, um, just so we'll keep going on and get so we get to your
yeah, we'll get into this.
but
you guys are asking great questions. We're going to do a Q&A in a few minutes too.
so here's a fun one for so this is the year of the Earth Pig, which is and a 3-year. So it's all about squad goals. Let your friends be your wing people. Your social circle is your access to meeting someone new and compatible who fits in with your crew. So let your friends play matchmaker for you. Our friends are the ones that we really will love unconditionally forever. Find someone who you would be best friends with, or let your friends introduce you, get out and mingle and explore new interests, solo or as a couple. If you're in a relationship, you still want to remember to be best friends with your boo and just like go out more. The year of the Earth Dog, last year, the 2-year, we just all spent a little too much time at home. Now it's time to go out and meet your neighbors. I've gone sledding a couple times on a hill by my house and met a couple neighbors. So
yeah, you're like, don't be shy about asking your friends. I love this. Lucy says, I just joined the Ship app where my friends can swipe for me and match me with people. Now there you go. That is this year. I haven't heard of that app, but sounds like it's worth checking out. Sometimes your friends know what you need better than you do. And sometimes you wish you had never complained to them at all because, they either match you up with horrible people or treat you like whatever. I don't know, the sad single person. We don't want any of that in our lives. But tell them, hey, I'm open to meeting people and this is what I want. Be really straight to the point. This is what I don't want. Run it by me. So, and just get out, even, couples, single, whatever, get out and socialize and just see, be open like Tali was at Burning Man. I met my husband when I went out to lunch alone, and so did he. He took a wrong turn down the street, walked out of a cafe and into the restaurant that I came in a few minutes later, and we started talking and then dated. And then, so, you just never know.
Jewel Love, real quick, Jewel Loves is saying something that I think is a good point that we want to address. I'm a Leo and I keep attracting angry Libra men when I'm the most laid back person. So why is that? This is something that's so interesting. If you keep attracting somebody who is like so unlike you, well, this is a reality. Maybe they're mirroring an aspect of yourself that you've abandoned. I'm not telling you to turn into an angry man, and an angry Libra. That for a Libra man to get angry when they keep it all placid, but when they get angry, it is not a pretty sight, because that's sort of against their nature. Well, Eminem is an example of a Libra man who's kind of a little bit too in touch with his anger sometimes. But why do you keep attracting angry men? Or why do I keep attracting cheaters, for example, or something like that? Now, I'm not saying you need to go on a rage bender, but maybe you need to get in touch with your own anger. Maybe being laid back is making you, maybe you're actually numb to some of your feelings as a result, like trying to be too chill and laid back. Maybe the universe is kind of telling you, there's a healthy level of conflict out there. Or if you keep attracting cheaters, well, there's a healthy level of indecision out there. Maybe you're someone who, I used to attract like non-committal cheaters for a long time. And that's because I rushed to lock down a commitment. I actually need to give myself a chance to go, do I like you or not? Maybe I want to date other people simultaneously. That was healthy for me. We don't want to. So when we kind of attract these very extreme energies, it's often because a more gentle version of that wants to come out of us. So for those of you who are asking questions like that or finding yourself stuck in the same pattern, let those jerks be kind of teachers for you, in a more soulful way. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide where we have some upcoming love dates in 2019. If you want to do these.
Wanted to, in our 2019 horoscope guide, you can get the entire year's worth, but I wanted to pull out the ones that were really ahead of us right in the immediate future, because how we handle those is important. So tomorrow, February 13th, we have Mars and Uranus conjunct in Aries. That is a really big deal because that only happens every couple of years, but it's the last time ever in our lifetimes it's going to happen in Aries, because on the 6th of March, Uranus is going to leave Aries until the 22nd century. So this, if any of you guys are feeling on the verge of a panic attack at all times this week, that's the combined energy of Mars, which is about sex, lust, stress, intensity, energy, and then Uranus, which is also this jarring, shake up all the status quo, throw it all out there kind of planet. So they are conjunct, which means they're together. And tomorrow it's an exact meetup. In Aries, which is already fiery and intense and full of, just do it now. So there's this real wild, impulsive energy that's almost like ticking time bomb kind of feeling where you're like, I must do something now. So this can be good and bad. This can be a real major planetary prompt to stop screwing around, waiting around, holding back what you feel, and just rip the Band-Aid off and say it. Just tell the person what you're feeling. Like authentic, direct, unapologetic, just let it all come out in the most raw way. I mean, it's just, this is the time. And you get what you get from it. Yes, it can be impulsive, but it can also, when you're pretending to be someone you're not or hiding how you feel, it just, everybody knows anyway. So just get that out. And then there are 2 Libra full moons this year. Usually we only have 1 full moon per sign every year. So we've got 2, March 20th and April 19th. And that means, and Libra is a sign of commitment and love and balance and harmony. So after you unleash all this intensity on the world, a month later and then 2 months later, you've got this real, we can't really commit to someone if we can't be authentic. Like many people go through decades being inauthentic in relationships and just never really saying what's there. We all do. I'm sure there are things I don't say to my husband even after 12 years, but it all comes out sideways one way or another. So, these Libra full moons will give us a chance to really say, okay, now that this raw energy has been put out there, how can I build my relationship in a way that's really getting both of our needs met? And prior to that, we've got Mercury going retrograde in Pisces, March 5th to 28th. Pisces is this dreamy, deep, healing, subconscious zodiac sign. So with Mercury, the planet of mind and communication, going retrograde there, it's going to be a lot of thinking and processing about, what are those subconscious things you do that block love? Really, there couldn't be a better time to do some journaling and self-discovery work and really to think about that 10-10-10 principle, or the things that are like it, that, to do so. And Pisces is about closure. So with Mercury retrograde in Pisces, we're all like, where can we forgive? Where can we release? Where can we surrender? Where can we stop trying to force things and heal? So that is really what's coming up universally for all of us. And then we also have these eclipses. We already had our first one. That's the next slide, Tally, if you want to go on to that. So January 21st, we all heard about the Leo blood wolf supermoon lunar eclipse. This fancy title there. Leo wouldn't have it any other way. But that was already also a big moment for people getting things off their chest. So you may already have had, I feel like since that eclipse and all the way leading up to this Mars-Uranus conjunction of this week, has anybody else felt just like everything is just so almost like a big collective roar there? So that's just, it's still all coming out. The roar is not over yet. So, but there are, that eclipse is over. Now we're in a Cancer and Capricorn eclipses. So that's really about balancing head and heart, balancing. There's 1 Cancer eclipse in July, 3 in Capricorn. We already had one January 5th. We have a July 16th and December 26th. So it's like What does your heart want? What does your head say? We're going to really be negotiating between those two things. So,
Yep.
now,
And
briefly,
then,
I see all your questions about education. This is a love webinar for Libra, but we will answer when we get into the Q&A period. We'll let you know about education for Libras. I understand life isn't segmented between love and work all the time, but
yeah, well, anyways,
questions, guys,
got another eclipse on July 2nd in Cancer, which is very warm and fuzzy. But the Cancer and Capricorn eclipses are the primary signs that we're having these eclipses happening this year, are really moving us toward this more sort of traditional way of doing love. So a lot of people are asking about, this person, should I hang on to this person who doesn't want to be in a long-term relationship? Like we did say earlier, there's that push-pull with Jupiter and Saturn where, you're willing to maybe create some more unconventional arrangements around love. But I will say that there's a serious energy available this year too with Capricorn and Cancer. Those are kind of the home and provider and family, let's settle down forever signs. So if you're somebody who wants a long-term relationship, I wouldn't put your life on hold for someone who gives you the I'm not ready. I think in 0.1% of the time have I ever seen a I'm not ready person become ready. To me, that's the way. That is a way of letting people down easy. And I don't want to be harsh, but when I've found with couples, and we've talked to thousands of people and done charts, and like the I'm not ready person is often someone with deep commitment issues. They need to push you far away and then they're ready as soon as you're not too close. And then as you come back in, they're close again. And it's just like, guys, but if you want to be in a relationship, find someone else who wants to be in a relationship now. Maybe that person will come back around. I do know someone, there were two Aries. He wasn't ready. She tortured herself and waited. And now they are married and have kids. I don't know if they're happy or not. But what you have to do to wait around for that person to be ready can also be kind of hard on your soul. So if they're not ready, you don't have to be ready either. You go out and date other people, even if you're still obsessed with them. You're never going to not be able, like, this is also, even the people who have hurt us, sometimes we still love them and obsess over them and fantasize about them, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean they're right for us. Just because somebody just sets our loins on fire and, doesn't mean they're meant to be your life partner. They could be a soulmate, they could be a twin flame, but they might not be the one you're supposed to build your life with. It's hard to let that go and let the fantasy go. But I'm telling you, this year's planets are much more practical. They want you to enjoy having partnership now, build something with someone now, and not waste your time. If you're somebody who actually wants something more serious, not waste your time on someone who isn't quote unquote ready. Okay. Now, this is not to say that the people who aren't ready can't become ready, but maybe that's also an excuse because you're pushing too hard and pressuring them and being desperate and not actually holding your own. Like, we don't like people who are too into us for a reason, because they're trying to and I've been the person who's too into people, so God, plenty of compassion if you're in that. But we don't like people who are too into us, because it's like, well, who are you? You're trying to become me and suck my soul, like if
there's an agenda there, and people can see an agenda a mile away. So at tomorrow's Mars-Uranus conjunction, or already today, because it's happening now, get real with yourself. Am I doing that? Am I being pushy and forceful? Am I making someone feel that they couldn't say no, or I'll break into a million pieces? Or ask them, better yet, ask them, you know what? I'm going to let you, and I'm not going to react. I'm going to let you tell me why. Just go for it. You got nothing to lose. Just ask them why. Why not? why will you never, why don't you want to be with me? You can just ask that too. Get blunt, whatever, however it comes out, and just see, because better than you play that
So
weird
maybe
game.
you're too up in their biz, too in their face. Maybe you're, like, it's always an opportunity when someone's not ready to pull back and really get into yourself, get into your life, get into your world. And they may come around again because you'll suddenly become attractive. There's a really great book called Mating in Captivity. I'll type it in a minute.
Esther Perel. She's got a
Esther
great
Perel. Yep.
Perel,
And
sorry.
she has a TED Talk too.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things, the points she makes is that, intimacy is actually getting too close, even though we want that as humans, can dull our sexual energy, dull our attraction. So it's really important to keep your own space and your own autonomy. So if you're getting the I'm not ready thing, you can also say, that's all right, babe. You go do you. I'm going to do me. Let's see what happens. But then your responsibility is to hold that space and never go back into becoming that person who made them the center of your universe at your own expense. You want to always remember to hold the space of you. That's my preaching Mars, Uranus, and Aries. Don't lose yourself in a relationship. Jupiter and Sagittarius is really saying, develop yourself, become the best you. But these Capricorn Cancer things are also saying, and then you plug that in to a relationship with someone who loves your individuality and doesn't want you to, become their fanboy or fangirl. They want you to be your own whole self. Okay, boom. There, I'm done preaching on that one. Okay.
All right. So let's go to the next slide. And then we have some quick tips for every sign for love. And we're going to let you answer.
And our special offer too, we wanted to just say, 20% off any of our guides. And the link to that is in the description down here for the video. And I'll put it in again. So
astrostyle.com/love19. And you use the code love19 at checkout and get 20% off any of our 2019 horoscope guides. If you don't have one yet, every single month of the year has all the key love dates. So there's, several days every month that are pinpointed and described for you to find the dates that you need to either take action around love or do something specific. So we've mapped it all out for you. You can plan ahead. It's going to, reduce some of that anxiety because you'll know, okay, these dates are coming up and I can use them. So please take advantage. We're running that special this month for you. If you don't have the book or if you want it in another format than the one you have, we've got you. So
all right. So now for the real answers, because as much as we love to tell you these big sweeping trends, you want to know about your sign and your Valentine sign. So let's start with Aries. Ophi, you want to take fire and air?
Sure. So air, if you are an Aries or if you're crushing or on an Aries or with an Aries. So for Aries, freedom is their aphrodisiac this year. Jupiter's in the 9th house of adventure. So this real desire to go big and try new things and branch out and get away from the same old. But because of the Capricorn influences, Aries are also thinking long term. So your love mission for 2019 is to combine freedom and commitment, to find that sweet spot between the two, to create the ultimate adventure. How you're going to do it, we're going to leave that to your Aries imagination. But that is really what it's at. So there's this contrast between Jupiter and all the Capricorn may make it feel like these are a contradiction. Well, they are. Sometimes the planets serve up a contradiction or a paradox, and it's up to us to get creative and figure it out. So if you're an Aries, maybe you need some trips by yourself or with your friends or solo adventures, but you also need to make sure you're checking in and making sure your love interest or partner knows you're there, even if you're not physically there all the time, that you're building something together.
So, and if you're into an Aries, and you want to woo an Aries, suggest, and you know each other well enough, suggest going on a trip together. This would be the year to do that. Or if you're casually dating an Aries, you want to win them over, come up with some really adventurous dates, or, things that like open up their mind to all these new ideas and dreams and things they would never do on their own. That's the way to an Aries heart this year, even if it's like a workshop or a class or, some experimental theater. All right, next up is Taurus. So Tauruses have, where every single sign you're going to see, we have a paradox for you. For you, you're split in between this craving for both merging and intensity that comes from Jupiter being in your intimate, sexual, erotic 8th house, but like not just erotic, but like soul merging. But with Uranus moving into your sign on March 6th, and Saturn in your 9th house of freedom, you also need to be by yourself and you need to feel liberated. So be careful if you're a Taurus not to go AWOL on everyone and then come back like, why isn't anyone here for me? And then get all demanding or jealous or anything like that. You may find yourself being a little more possessive, but being with somebody who knows how to like give you your space, but also like when it's private, just the two of us time, be all into you. That's the ideal. And if you are with a Taurus, expect, you're going to have to choose quality time over quantity with them because they're going to be super busy and trying and dabbling and exploring these new sides of themselves. But when you are together, keep it really sacred and just appreciate that time you have. Okay, on to Gemini. So listen up, everyone. We're going to get to your sign. I know you're asking questions, but hang tight. We'll get to Sag in a few. So, Ophi, take it away.
Yeah, Gemini, it's a big year for commitment. That's somewhat similar to Aries. Commitment is your adventure, which is not usually how it works for Geminis. It can be a little bit all over the place, kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But you're really like, ooh, I want to find my person and do fun things together, explore the world. But you're also, you're learning some deeper lessons. You're being pushed to go deeper into the feelings and the emotional realm than ever before. And that can be hard for you. You're an air sign. You like to go broad, not deep. So important lessons about not just getting so swept up in someone's magic that you don't do the background checks or really, take the time to connect. You might have to like really do some of that bearing of the soul work that you don't always want to do to keep things, going for the long haul. And if you're with a Gemini, they may be more suddenly wanting to do a lot more with you, wanting to spend a lot more time. And you gotta give them, you gotta make sure they feel safe and show that you're trustworthy because they are going to have one eye open on that. Be a safe space for a Gemini where they can really open up and show that vulnerable part of themselves they don't usually show. So
great. We have some, and you don't have to be a Gemini's identical twin. Be their fraternal twin. All right. Cancer. Ophi, can you do this one? I got to check something.
Yeah, I can do it. But just put the slide up. So Cancer, it's kind of an administrative year. Getting your life in order is what comes first. Jupiter's in your 6th house, which is really about administrative stuff and service. So, but it's important. If you feel like you're all over the place and ungrounded, it's really hard to get into a commitment. And yet, got all those Capricorn things happening in your committed relationship house. So there's this urgency to like just deal with the stuff that you haven't been dealing with. Put on the big girl, big boy pants and deal with that tax bill or whatever the heck else you have not wanted to deal with that gets in the way of you really being present with people for the longer haul. And if you're interested in a Cancer, the love language to use with a Cancer this year is acts of service because, they really will be looking at what you do as a tribute to how much you care about them. Having their back, supporting them through whatever they're going through, that is going to be more meaningful to Cancers. And last year was all about big, showy displays of romance. This year, it's about who shows up. That's who they're.
If on cue, my Cancer puppy Lux just arrived at the office.
Aww. We'll
So
put a poker aside. I can do it while you get looks.
that's okay. I got him. Let's go. We'll
Okay.
go out. He's just running around and having fun. So, Leo. So Leos are all about passion, glamour, and lust this year. You're kind of in your element, and back to feeling like you can just be like, phew, and out there and bold and sparkly again. But you'll take it with a side of integrity. You're not here to just, be some sparkle pony. You're here to shine, but you also are serious. You want to get into a groove that's also, predictable. And so maybe it's like getting a regular date night on the books and bringing the element of surprise. If you're in a relationship, this has been suggested by many love coaches, like date night every week. You take turns planning and surprising each other. And as 101 as that might sound, it actually brings a lot of fun into relationships. Or you want to be with someone who's like not just arm candy, but more of a permanent +1 for all the fun adventures that you do together. So
get your money with a Leo, or you're dating a Leo. Make sure you do that. Do not neglect the romance and the frills, because they need that. But also show that you are consistent and reliable as well. I mean,
get them out of their lair. Get them out of their lair.
Yes. Lure them out. A coworker could actually be the Leo's delight too. So,
just be careful with that. Yeah.
These days with that. Okay, so Virgos. Virgo, this is a very emotional year, so it's really about getting into the feelings, a lot of emotional bonding, mature love, really wanting that, affection. And someone, you're going to be like, can I have a family with this person? Or could I introduce them to my family? Or could I, would I want to live with them? You're going to really be thinking domestically in love this year. And that's the same thing for a Virgo. If you're interested in one, they may want to see what you're like as like a housemate material too, or you might spend a lot of time at home sometimes with them. But Uranus is going into the travel sector, so for Virgo, so there may be a lot of Airbnbs in your future with hopefully some really good, sexy company for love this year for Virgo. So don't get so in the feelings and homebodied out that you don't get out. And remember to starting in March, remember to go see the world alone or together, and just stay open. There's going to be a lot of surprises that happen in the moment when you embrace that adventure.
Bless your nest with some sexy touches for sure. Okay, Libras. Deepening your bonds and opening up to new people. It's actually a very social year. So, JT was asking about education. You can meet people through workshops or classes as well, because Jupiter, which rules higher education, is in your social house. So anything you do, maybe it's, take a self-development workshop. You could find yourself a life partner there. But also let yourself get vulnerable and prepare for big emotional waves. Libras like to put on a good face, look like you got it all together, very polished. A lot of times you're not like a big, let me sob in public. You'll tear up at a movie, of course, but you like to keep it, under wraps. But if you try to suppress that, it could come out in some stormy ways. So make sure that you have enough people who you can talk to about your emotions, whether it's a therapist or a coach or really supportive friends. And then you won't bring that stormy energy into your love life. And of course,
there's a real need for Libras to feel anchored this year. And there's a lot. Libras also don't tend to deal with the deeper feelings, but you're being pushed to do that. So if you're feeling anxious about something happening in your life, or this has to work out, and that could happen to a lot of Libras, especially around your home or future. What you're really craving is a sense of security and working through the anxiety and really like realizing, okay, I am going to be okay. And making sure you have enough emotional support so that you feel like no matter what happens, you will be okay. It's going to be one of the crucial things. So,
and on a positive note for that, it's like, a lot of Libras might even be doing some family planning or buying a home with a partner or moving in together. Like you're going to want to enjoy spending that everyday time or staying in more. Our sister's a Libra and she's like, I'm really enjoying staying in with, my partner and my daughter. Like she's usually all over town. You can never catch her, and so, you might find that you're social and more homebodied and like you really, or maybe you throw some parties, more parties to, if you're in a relationship, how about having your mutual friends over for dinner parties? That's a good way to enjoy your relationship or decorating together. So really making sure that you have enough time in, and even, if you're a Libra who has a hard time, with finding someone long-term, it might be because you're such a social butterfly. You're hard to pin down. This could be the year where slowing down a little actually gives all those interested parties the ability to catch you. So let's go on to Scorpio. Ophi.
Okay. So Scorpios, so it's an interesting time for you too, because Uranus is going to be in your partnership house starting in March. So you might find yourself attracted to someone totally different than what you normally go for. But with Jupiter being in your second house, which is very stable, I've seen this happen to people year in and year out. Boring is the new hot. You suddenly are like, you know what? This person that I thought would just put me to sleep, this reliable person, they show up, they come through. I think that's actually sexy. If it's not sexy, it's like, it's what I wanted. This is similar to Cancer too. You're like, instead of going for that flashy, hot person all the time, you might open your mind to someone who is also like, doesn't mean they can't be hot as well, but not the person that, drives up all that intensity and anxiety. And if you are interested in a Scorpio, show them that you're willing to like be in the moment and try things, but don't try to be that crazy person that wins them over because you'll try any position that a Scorpio mind can imagine. There's probably too many of them anyway. Don't wear yourself out. But like really, they are going to they're actually going to be more into someone who just says what they did, does what they say, sorry, I can't talk, who comes through, who their actions and their words are aligned. So show, instead of trying to woo a Scorpio by being so interesting, mysterious, just be really real, be yourself, and just, push back if they try to overpower you, and just be like, no, this is what I think. And the Scorpio always is going to love someone who's not too intimidated to be themselves. And if you're a Scorpio, you'll probably like that too. A person who just doesn't get scared off by you too easily, as many people do. So
right. So Sagittarius, I know we have a few of our fellow archers here with us who've been asking. So Jupiter, our ruling planet, it's in our home sign. So in love, it's a year for starting anew. It doesn't mean you have to start with a new partner, but really just like discovering new aspects of yourself, having lots of me time, and then bringing those cool new aspects of yourself into your relationship. Or like we were saying earlier, you always have to have your autonomy if you want to keep it hot. So, actually your own, getting passionate about your own life again and seeing how that impacts who you're attracted to or what you bring home with you or bring to dates. It's a really good year for taking some risks. Get on those dating apps if you're single. People will be attracted to your enthusiasm about your own life. But with Saturn in your slow and sensual second house, you also want to make sure that you're not buzzing around so much that you forget to just kind of enjoy those, 101 moments that everyone needs where you're just talking, sharing a meal, sharing drinks, sharing, just being together and having quality time. You might not have a ton of, you may be in so many different directions, but when you are with a date or a mate, make sure you give them your undivided attention. Put your devices away. Put everything that beeps on
airplane mode. It's really hard as a Sag to not be like working or running off with something that I have to do and making time for my husband this year. I can't even tell you. It's been so hard. So it's you got to kind of roll with it or bring them along sometimes too. If you're interested in the Sag, you might just have to join them on something. Oh, we're going to a party for my work. Get dressed. I'll pick you up at this time. Or just, you might just have to mix business and pleasure with the Sag, or just be a little more spontaneous. Meet them wherever they are. They're going to be running around, and just roll with it. So, okay, so let's go to Capricorn.
Now this is where things get deep. We have Gilles saying, "I'm John from Australia's ex-boyfriend, also a Capricorn. I'm afraid I'll never find a partner that truly accepts me for who I am." I hope you guys are still
talking about each other on our.
That's really sweet. I hope you're still friends. And that's all I have to say. But that's really much a Capricorn fear. So let's go on to your slide, because I think we're all afraid of that. And really, Saturn in Capricorn this year, getting yourself anchored. If you're afraid you'll never find someone who truly accepts you for who you are, then you have to do that work. For all Capricorns, this is a year to accept you. You have to be that person for yourself. And then you find a partner who either accepts you for who you are or they don't, but it doesn't matter because you're so anchored in who you are. This is a year to surrender as a Capricorn. Capricorns are very outwardly focused. You're achievement oriented. You're productivity oriented. You're amazingly productive, and you look really good doing it too. But the thing is, oftentimes you lose touch with what your soul needs. So this is a year for surrender, and that's how you're going to find the soulmate. You got to let stuff get a little messy, like maybe the reason you haven't found someone who accepts you for who you truly are is because you don't even let people see it. You show them the glossy, flossy version of yourself. And that's what people fall for. And then there's those days where you don't feel like being big daddy provider or, mama, whatever. And then, hey, who's there for you? So the real key of, as we say, surrender and open to a soulmate, surrender to your own humanity, surrender to your own need for time out, to not have to be achieving anything. You don't have to do or prove or do anything to be loved. And with Saturn in your sign, that's really going to be underscored for you. So get anchored in the things that you love doing. And I really feel like a soulmate will show up from there. That's kind of how it works, if
you're with a Capricorn, you're interested in them, it's like, you have to be the person that gets them to get out of their heads and really just into their soul and body. And it's hard to do because they're a tough nut to crack, but there's a mush ball under there. In every Capricorn, they can be some of the most sentimental, nostalgic people. I don't know why I hear a little bit of echo.
Yeah, Alana's asking, how would a Sag and Cap meet in the middle in a relationship this year? Seem to be in very different energies. I think you just have to give each other a lot of space and support for your self-discovery and growth, and accept that maybe you're not gonna always be on the same page, but just get interested. Don't judge the things that are different. You'll definitely have different processes for self-discovery, and really you're going to work on not judging. Surrendering does seem difficult. Someone said, "Hi, Heidi," and I think that the key to surrender is just, you don't have to say, "I'm giving everything up," but you can say, "I am willing to be open to seeing things in a different way. I am willing to learn something new here. I'm willing to be shown something," just whatever it is. The willingness is really all that matters. And then you let the surprise happen, whether it will or not. You don't, because of course we're human. We're going to need that security sometimes, but Be open to surprises. Okay, so the last two signs are Aquarius and Pisces. Oh, if you want to do Aquarius.
Sure. So I keep saying it's an interesting time. It is an interesting time, but it's a time for healing, inner work, removing blocks. For Aquarians, like there's a part of you that wants to be light and out there and having fun. That's Jupiter in your friendship and social house. So you're out there, woohoo, like meeting all these new people. But there's also a lot of emotional stuff getting stirred up, a lot of healing work, forgiveness, blocks to remove. Uranus is going to be going into your home and domestic house. So there might be some pregnancies or deeper emotional work or moving in together that come up for some Aquarians, or just stuff with kids or parents or family or home. So even though it's like a year to really get out and celebrate and meet people and let your friends hook you up as much as you can't just avoid doing the inner work as well. So probably a good year for an Aquarius to have a therapist if you're working through anything like that, because there's going to be a temptation to turn your friends into therapists, which there already is with Aquarians, but this year it could really, really tax them. So I really don't recommend doing that, because it can put a strain on the friendships, and they're not qualified to be therapists, nor do they have an objective view of you. If you're with an Aquarius, careful about getting sucked into playing the role of their therapist as well. Try to encourage them to lighten up a little bit, but also to direct them to resources where they can get help or deeper support. But watch the codependent trap. All of our followers tend to be really big-hearted givers, and we want to make sure that we don't go too far with that with people, and then try to save them. So avoid that. Also, if you are an Aquarius, careful you don't get stuck in that with someone else. You're going to have to maybe look at some of your own codependent ties and tendencies and see if you can try to empower rather than enable the people you love. So, okay.
Last but not least, Pisces. So, you tend to be a hopeless romantic, sometimes get really swept away and swept into whoever you're in love with. But this is the year to really own your power in love. Like, you better come to me, baby. This is who I am. This is where the magic is. And if you don't like it, someone else will. And they will. You're actually in a really great position to make long-term plans and find someone who wants to be with you for that happily ever after. Or if you are with that person, really come up with some real exciting new ways to do life. And you can get really uncertain as one of the the four mutable sides, where it's like, maybe this, maybe that, maybe this. But this is the year to close the opinion polls. Don't rely on friends' input. What matters is what's in your heart. Your version of love and vision of love is always a little on the fringe in some ways, even if it's, just the way you like to do things. You're okay with certain things that other people might be like, gasp, never. So don't ask people to weigh in. Just be proud of your way of doing love.
We have a Pisces who said they just broke up with a Sagittarius. Should have broken up a few months ago. Did I miss my chance at love, or are there more opportunities? There are always more opportunities. The planets will and that's why we really recommend taking advantage of, if you show the next slide, our 20% off our 2019 horoscope guide, because there are opportunities for you all year long. Venus will go into your sign for some point every year. Mars will every couple years, or it'll go into your love house. There's always, at least once a month, an opportunity to take an action that will bring love, bring you closer to finding love, put you in the path of love, clear away a block for love. And we tell you how in our book. If you go to astrostyle.com/love19, and it's right there in the description of the video. There's, for Pisces though, it's really, this is what Tali was saying, owning your power, not saying I'm never going to find love, but just saying I am taking control of my life. and close up the opinion poll. Stop asking your friends, certain questions that you know how to answer yourself, and just say,
And that voice in your head that says, "Will I ever find love?" That's the thing you really want to go to work on. I know an 86-year-old woman, our friend's mother, who got married, So is it ever too late to find love? Absolutely not. In fact, yeah, there's so much, our culture is obsessed with youth. So a lot of people think, I'm in my 30s now, I'm so old, or I'm in my 40s or 50s. Look, I know people get married in their 60s or every single decade. We know multiple people and have clients who had felt that same hopeless way. Love is always there for you. But you got to bring it home. You got to bring it inside of yourself. It's often, a sign that you need to love yourself more by developing your own interests, going on an adventure, doing something to break up your everyday life. Maybe surround yourself with people who are in great relationships. Find your relationship role models. That's always very important because they will be your evidence that there's always another chance at love. So you have to be love to attract love, not withhold and wait for it to come to you and then open up and hand someone your beating heart. You have to maybe you need to express your loving side a little more openly in order to draw it in. There's a lot of it's just so there for you. So if you're
let's look at these questions. Let's give you guys a chance to send us your questions. I already see one from Martika. She says she's excited to hear how she can best support her Aquarius.
I'll stop the and make sure you subscribe up here, guys, today so you can get all the notifications. Let me turn on our cameras again so we can be with you while we answer your questions. I got a couple from Heidi too that I wanted to.
Yep. We'll go back and forth. We'll have to. You'll see the camera going back and forth when we answer. So it looks like we did answer that question from Martika when we talked about the.
Okay, cool.
So
oops. There we go. Cool.
Okay.
I am sharing am I back? And are you back? Let me get you on here.
Yeah.
So many things to control. Okay, there's Ophi again in New York.
Hi. I have mascara on now, and I tucked in those little things that come inside of every shirt that are supposed to help it stay on a hanger. It was such a day that I looked and I was like, oh yeah, those are still hanging out of my shirt. So, I'm just sharing that because it's like, sometimes it's just like that. So ridiculous.
We love you too, Heidi. Heidi's been part of our Astropreneurs program and other things. So, so you're in Aries and your husband is a Taurus and you have 4 kids together. That's a really, that's not an easy place to be, not an easy choice when you find yourself, if you have a family together and all of a sudden it's like things are not working. Now, what Uranus, which is that planet of change and revolution, has been in your sign, Heidi, since March 11th of 2011. So the last 8 years, you've been really on this journey of self-discovery. Your husband is about to go on that same journey as you. It probably started a little bit. So last in 2018, May 15th till November 8th, Uranus was in Taurus. Then it backtracked into Aries, where it is now, until March 6th. So Taurus is last year. So Aries, you can handle the Uranian energy. It's all about excitement and change. And wow, you live that way anyways. Tauruses are not they ain't ready for Uranus, okay? And it really does throw them for a loop to have that much freedom and lack of structure. And, there may be a scrambling that maybe they let themselves go wild and then they're like, oh my God, I must control everything. They might dig their hooves in even more. But I will say, because this is about to kick back in, I know you must feel like you're going crazy and losing your mind, but you kind of want to don't make such a huge decision if you're dating a Taurus and they are kind of in that impossible energy right now, they may move through it before the year is over or over the next couple years. You may, now that's not to say you shouldn't maybe separate or create more space or come up with some kind of an arrangement. You don't have to sit around and take it, because when a Taurus is, you know, when their temper gets out of control, it is not a pretty thing. So if you're in any kind of situation like that, they're trying to control you, well, definitely extricate yourself. But you may have to just kind of take a little break and let them come back around. That's all I'd say. If anyone's with a Taurus is kind of going through I mean, they really are out of their league right now. So be patient, be kind, but take care of yourself too, and just know that they are going to be moving through some tough times this year. Ophi, do you have a question you want to answer? I hope that helped, Heidi.
Yeah, I will answer Kristen, who's a Gemini, and said something about moving. Could that be part of the change this year? So for Geminis, you've got Jupiter. Sorry, this is my microphone here in the camera, but you've got Jupiter in your committed relationship house. So moving could be the access love, a long distance relationship. Now, Jupiter only comes around every 12 years. So when Jupiter is in your love house or partnership house, as it is, sometimes people get into long distance relationships or meet someone when they move, and it's a surprising thing. So that's funny, Tully, you popped on the camera when you moved.
Lux is trying to get on my lap. I'm gonna hide my camera for a minute because my dog is
I'm sure everybody would like to see Lux.
I will, as soon as I get him up here. Yes. Carry on, sister.
Yes. So for Geminis, your love life may involve a relocation or travel or that sort of thing. So let's see.
Oops, sorry, guys.
Questions. So yay, yes. Okay. Zaiga, I'm not sure if I'm saying it. She's a Gemini with a Taurus. She lost count of how many times we got back together and separated. This thing is going back and forth on us, Tully. He always comes around. Now, if you go to astrostyles.com and scroll down to the footer of the site, join our mailing list, you get a free PDF of our book, How to Get Along with Anyone, Yes, Even That Person. And it explains how the distance between any two zodiac signs creates a specific dynamic between you. So for Gemini and Taurus, you're one sign apart. And my husband is a Taurus who was formerly married to a Gemini. So there's always an attraction between one sign apart, but you're very, very different. So if you're with someone whose sign is right before yours or right after yours, you may find that there's a lot of, and this is true for Heidi, who's an Aries married to a Taurus, whose question Tully answered. Your signs actually have nothing in common in terms of the qualities of them. So you may find that you really struggle to get on the same page a lot of the time. So you have to work around that. Okay, we have
now Jessica Murphy is saying, I'm a Sag and my heart is being pulled to two different Aquarius. What should I do to help me get my head straight? You know what? In 2019, date them both, but be upfront about it. You know, like this is a year to be free, but also honest. So, and you know what? If anyone will appreciate that, even though they pretend, you know, kind of Aquarius, they love a challenge. They might pretend they don't, but you know what? That might even just make them a little more into you. And may the best water bearer win. So Linda Randall is saying Scorpio broke up with Pisces, how to move on. Yeah, moving on from either one of you water signs has always been a challenge in my world, because water signs will hit you in the feels and then make it all cozy. And, you know, it's so hard to let go. I think you just have to really nurture your heart and like let yourself have a mourning period. Anyone who's breaking up with a water sign or trying to get over a water sign, it's going to be a process. It just is, because it's like losing this intimate, cozy, safe space. or even maybe somebody who messed with your head in some scary ways. And, if anyone can do the emotional manipulation and mind bending, it's a water sign. So you may have to like go to therapy to remember, like, I dated a Scorpio. I had to go to Al-Anon. He didn't even go to AA, but, it was like I basically needed essays, Scorpios Anonymous, because that was such an addictive connection there. So, but what really works is to just learn about the emotions that are coming up for you. And even just like, I always like a morning ritual. If you can't get over someone, just go deeper into it. Make an altar to them and all the things you did together, and cry about it for an hour intentionally every day. Journal about it and how hard it is. And then, those emotions, you got to go through them in order to get past them. So
I see a couple of questions from Cancers, right as Lux, Tali's Cancer, arrives on the scene. We have a Cancer with a Capricorn, long distance, have been friends since we were 11. And then we have another Cancer, Apple Cakes. I love that. Any hope for a Cancer with an Aries man? So Apple Cakes, the Cancer Aries thing is very compelling. Aries is the macho baby of the zodiac, and Cancer is the maternal nurturer. So there is hope, but you just want to make sure, to play J-Lo's I Ain't Your Mama song a couple of times to make sure that there's no mistaking that, because the Aries man, as independent as they are, you could easily fall into the caretaker role with them, and you don't want that to happen to you. But it's a very dynamic, romantic.
It happens a lot.
Yeah, but it's a very dynamic and romantic connection. So even though there may be some fights, my Aries ex, we're still friends to this day. He is married to a Cancer woman, and they have a kid together. It took him a long time, but they seem like they're really happy together. And she doesn't mind playing that role of the mom, so maybe you enjoy that. And if you do, then an Aries will certainly enjoy appreciating it.
And they'll make it fun for you too, because you can get a little bit set in your ways, or, afraid to venture out, and they'll bring a lot of creativity. And Cancers are also very creative. And so that matchup can bring a lot of fun, a lot of creative exploration and experimentation. Yeah. And then Cancer Capricorn, that's one we see all the time. That's an opposite sign pairing. And it is very true in astrology. Opposites attract and repel. So, but the thing with the Cancer and a Capricorn, if you're the Cancer, you have to make sure you don't get turned into the perpetual secretary. Capricorns love to turn their mates into their business, not necessarily business partners, but support staff, key support staff.
Executive assistant.
Yeah, a lot of, it's like I've seen a lot of Capricorns who actually fall for their assistants, or, but that's okay if you don't mind playing that role. But if you're somebody, if you have your own life and life plans, you want to make sure that your Capricorn is equally supportive of your dreams, and that you don't sideline them to become, best supporting castmate. That's, yep. So,
yep, I see a Libra who was married to an Aries and separated July 2017. That's another opposite sign pairing. He's in a new relationship, and the Libra emotional roller coaster. It's tough because we co-parent. How do I find new love? Well, for Libras this year, you got to deal with those emotions. I understand that's really hard. Aries can move on a lot of the times a lot faster than Libra. They'll rush into something new while you're still processing. So it's very easy to feel like, oh, I'm the loser who just can't find anyone if you're a Libra. Libras are feeling a bit vulnerable and raw this year, but get some support for that. It's really important that you don't try to make those feelings go away. Get some therapy, coaching, energy healer, someone you can talk through what's coming up, because a very good chance it goes back to your childhood. You've got Saturn in your family of origin sector. It could be some dad stuff. Whatever's happening with your ex is pointing a big flashing neon arrow to where you can do some work there and just reset your patterning when you do that.
And I will say, as a Libra, like, it's great that you co-parent. You have to, but maybe you need to like create some better boundaries, because being around a dynamic Aries ex that you didn't want to break up with and who has a new partner could be like scratching open that wound every time. So maybe you got to come up with a better way of, like, don't use the co-parenting as a reason to keep the connection going. You might actually want to, of course you have to work together on the kids, but how can you do that with maybe a little more of a boundary this year so that you don't constantly have to play out the fantasy that never got to come to fruition for you?
Super quick, there's this
Thanks for all who love Lux.
Yeah, I know. Helen Fisher has a book called Why We Love. It's a little bit, research sciencey, but I was reading it and she has a chapter on something she calls breakup rage or abandonment rage, which is she's a neuroscientist. So she looks at the neuroscience of love and breakups. And she says that when you have to keep visually seeing someone that you've broken up with, it can can fire off all the brain circuits of pain and abandonment all over again. And I mean, it's really tough. I've all the compassion for the co-parenters, because you have to see your ex a lot of the time. But, like Tali said, you can minimize, you can drop off in the driveway and not see them. Definitely, or you just, put in some kind of support before and after you go do a pickup or a handoff of the kids, because it's going to come up for you, and
you don't have to do it in a cold-hearted way. Like, this is Jupiter in Sagittarius. This is the year of authenticity, and even though it might seem a little, oh, my pride, you might want to even say, hey, I need to heal here, and that means I'm going to need a little more separation in our communication, and I just want to talk by email right now for the time being so that I can give myself a chance to really move on and just be vulnerable like that. You can't go wrong with Jupiter and Sag. That's a sign of strength. And
if you are someone who's broken up with someone and they live in your town or whatever, try to avoid contact, because your brain cannot reset itself and build new neural pathways that will open you up to love if you keep having contact with an ex. So I love this book, because whenever I find a neuroscientific explanation for something, it makes me stop beating myself up, because we're so hard on ourselves. You go, the voice in your head's like, oh, I'm such a loser. I'm such a stalker. I'm so pathetic. Why can't I get over him? Why can't I move on? And why is it so easy for them to move on and not me? There must be something wrong. How many of you guys have just had that cascade of self-flagellating thoughts go through your head? It's so easy, It happens to me daily about something. I start beating myself up, and I find that we can't outsmart our own brains. They actually are wired to bond and connect and work in these certain ways. And in our modern society, it's not set up to work with our natural brain chemistry that's allowed us to survive as a species for eons. So we have to, instead of trying to outsmart our own brains, we have to say, hey, you know what? I got to work with this. I'm not being a cold-hearted bitch, and I'm not being a loser if I say I can't see you because I need the space to heal, and it hurts me to see that you have a new relationship, but I don't begrudge you that. I want you to be happy, but I need to do what I need to do to be happy. Can we take a break and revisit this in 6 months or something? Like, just breaking it down like that sometimes. So the book is Helen Fisher's Why We Love, and I really recommend it as
I was looking up the link for that. Okay, Why We Love.
I'm almost sure that's the name, but today I'm so off my game that I don't know. if I'm 100% right about anything besides astrology.
Let's do a couple more questions and then we're going to have to wrap it up, unfortunately. But I did see one that was good. Lucy Amon is saying, is there any hope for a Taurus and her Saturn return to find a partner before 2026? I've done work to get over my Libra ex, but the energy coming up seems to be not about love, but more self-work. 2026, that's like 7 years from now.
I think she's thinking about Uranus and Taurus.
Oh,
By the
I
way,
see.
I
Okay. Got it.
consider that Lux is being so well behaved. He is the little love sponge. So, you know.
He is being really good right now. Well, so yeah, is there any hope? Absolutely. So Uranus is, yes, it is an interesting planet. It's a ruler of Aquarius. So if you're a Taurus like Lucy and you're looking for love, you got to let yourself be a little bit unmoored. Shake it up. Tauruses get to be comfortable creatures of habit. And this 7-year period may be one of the most experimental times in your life. You may find love in 3 different people, or you may find love in an unconventional person. The best way for you to find the love that you want between now and 2026 is to really fall in love with new sides of yourself. Maybe you're going to go get obsessed with acro yoga and meet someone on the silk circuit, or maybe you, like me, maybe you'll be in, Burning Man or a festival of some sort, not the fire festival, but anything else would be a experimental Uranian thing to do. Anyways, go into those fringy parts of yourself. I know a lot of Tauruses who have like really unique interests and hobbies and obsessions. Explore those and find people who are into the more weird and wacky things that you like. That's the best way to find love during this Uranus cycle. Right, Lux? He's going to chew my hand now. Ophi, do you want to do the last question?
Sure, we'll do Shona Sharma, Aquarius here, married to a Libra husband, wondering how Uranus and Taurus might shake up our relationship. Well, it's going to bring up a lot of emotions. So Libra, Aquarius sometimes don't always go into the nitty gritty of their feelings. And, Uranus and Taurus is going to put you there, bring you into the feels. So that can really, really bond you guys and cement, get ready for a whole new level of intimacy rather than just talking about things or around things. That's what I would say. So you guys have been really awesome. It's been such a pleasure. Again, our special offer, 20% off the 2019 horoscope guide. Will give you all the
it's down there in the comments. I got to do the YouTube point.
Yes,
yeah.
All the love dates.
Not in the comments and the little thing underneath.
The caption. So yes, the link below to get your 20% off with the code LOVE19 at our store. And we would love to support you throughout the year with planning your love life and taking advantage of all the dates that are coming up for every single sign that are great moments for love, making the one you have better, the relationship you have better, finding a new relationship, trying something new. Got it all spelled out for you. So.
Yeah, there are love hotspot dates in these books for every single month. There's a general trends for all. So there's the big book that has all 12 signs. And then there's the individual books that are just for your sign that are kind of handy to carry around. The big one's pretty hefty. It's if you're someone who likes to just read at home on your coffee table, great. If you're someone who likes to take the book in your journal to a coffee shop, get your single sign one. We also have the main one in PDF form. And yes, we got 20% off running for the rest of the month with what's the code, Ophi?
LOVE19.
LOVE19.
Just posted the link, astrostyle.com/LOVE19, and you'll find a little page. Will take you right there. So yeah, thank you guys. We're going to be doing more YouTube lives. We've got one we're scheduling for the end of the month. Jumpstart your month to get you ready for March and Mercury retrograde. But in the meantime, just wishing you a great Valentine's Day. This Valentine's Day is a day you want to be flexible and really, embrace. The moon's going to be in Gemini, so embrace some variety and just, prepared to maybe do a few different types of things. I've got a science fair at my daughter's school and then a date. It's already shaping up to be that, date with my husband. So like go with the flow. That's all I can say. So we will see you guys very soon. Happy week of love. And
Yep.
thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining. Bye, everyone.